While it may not have lived up to the bar set by last week's episode, this one was quite enjoyable. There was a lot of character building, and with the Marauder being stolen, it felt like more than just a one-off mission. I assume that this will be a two-parter, with the batch finding their way off-planet next week, but this episode ends with two major problems that aren't immediately solved in the span of 30 minutes. Initially, I was worried that we were getting back to another mission of the week, but the Ipsium mine on this new planet did interest me enough where I probably would have enjoyed it anyways. However, something this episode did very well was its twists, which made it so I couldn't just sit back and relax, but there were actually surprising moments that caught me off guard, like the Marauder being stolen without any struggle, and later when Omega falls into the pit. I really enjoyed the stampede scenes later on, with it being well animated and also full of tension, something that music was able to do a lot here. I didn't always notice the themes in the background, but they were often used to ramp up tension or excitement in a scene, and it was done very well. The episode lulled a bit after the batch got caved in, but then we got some great character moments that brought a new conflict into the mix, one that I've been hoping to see for a while, but I'll get into the character-focused moments later on. Omega goes off on her own, and I'll admit I love the way the Ipsium is animated to glow and stand out in the cavern walls. It kinda reminds me of the Mithril in Lord of the Rings, where you can instantly understand how valuable this substance is. Tech goes off to find and console Omega, and he ends up helping her mine the Ipsium she found. Something that I think is important from this episode is that at this point, Omega has already proven herself competent for such tasks, and here Tech recognizes her skill and trusts her to perform the mining. However, even though Hunter is also well aware of her skills, he wouldn't let her be the only one looking out at the mine. He still doesn't trust her to handle herself in combat, something we'll likely see work towards in the future episodes. Omega falling down the hole genuinely shocked me, as did Tech diving in after her. The raging water moments were alright, and I think the animation did look a little off at certain moments, but it was never anything too bad. They were eventually able to escape the caverns and discover that the spaceport has been abandoned for some time. They contact Sid, and this scene did a good job at tying back to the racing episode, where Malagi plants the idea in the clones' head that Sid will eventually leave them behind and can't be trusted. They're going to find a way off planet, but it may not be with Sid's help. She seemed very hesitant to provide aid in any sort of way, so this may be the beginning of the end for their professional relationship with her, which I honestly wouldn't be against, because I am starting to grow tired of her character and the missions she sends them on. Now onto the characters. Something that I was hoping to see after Echo left with Rex last week was the impact that it could have on the batch, and that was something we got in full here. Tech and Rekko's bickering was much more often and forceful than normal, which is likely because even though they aren't showing it as much, it is hard for them to have Echo gone. Omega is the one we see really being upset here, because she isn't used to being in the group without him. I liked how much emotion she showed, because it contrasted very well with Wrecker and Tech not understanding her. Maybe Hunter's skills made him more competent in reading emotions, but Wrecker and Tech seemed oblivious to her pain and sadness with Echo gone. Wrecker we only got for a brief moment outside the mine, but Tech was a main focus of the episode, and how detached he is from normal human emotions. He's always adapting and looking forward, where he doesn't recognize that these changes might have negatively impacted a person. Even though she is a clone, we're not aware of any enhancement Omega has, making her the most normal human being among them. The two have an argument after being caved in, and it's obvious that Tech doesn't give much emotional weight to the Marauder being stolen, because to him it's just a tool. But to Omega, someone who has never felt like she belonged or fit in, that ship became her home. Tech doesn't seem to understand her behavior, but Hunter feels very much like the comforting father in this episode. And even though Wrecker may not be the brightest, he's still somewhat able to recognize her pain in this scene. Omega and Tech finally find common ground after falling into the water, where we get an amazing dialogue from Tech, explaining how he views the events and deals with them in his own way, and it seems to have a positive effect on Omega. The subtle music in the background of this scene also added a lot to it, but I specifically loved the line about acting like a family, because it really called Tech out on his behavior. He's shown flashes where he loosens up, but because of his critical thinking, it always seems like being a good soldier is the top priority for him, rather than keeping the batch together like a family. Since Order 66, they've moved beyond being soldiers, and are now each other's closest thing to a family, but he doesn't seem to recognize that. We don't really see any major changes in the behavior from Tech in the last few minutes of the episode, following this conversation, but Omega is in much brighter spirits and is much more hopeful when we end. With next week likely picking up directly off this one, I'm looking forward to see how they get off the planet, if they get the Marauder back, and hopefully we'll get some more amazing character developments. The Crossing sees the badge deal with the absence of Echo in their own ways, making for lots of character development and an enjoyable story, earning a rating of 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more reviews like this, and remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.